Buenos días, queridos alumnos de Cela Spanish School Online. In this class, we will summarize everything we have learned about the use of the present subjunctive. This video is also available in Spanish and is part of the material of our Spanish courses for self-study. In simple sentences with only one subject, we do not use the subjunctive mood. Estudio español en las tardes. Yo estudio español y Juan estudia inglés. Here we have independent sentences, each with a grammatical subject, and we talk about a fact in the present tense. Only if a simple sentence begins with ojalá, quizás, tal vez, posiblemente, or probablemente, it has the verb in the subjunctive mood. Por ejemplo, tal vez vayamos de vacaciones a las montañas. Ojalá no llueva este fin de semana. In general, we use the subjunctive in compound sentences joined by que for the expected action of someone other than the subject of the main sentence. Quiero que Juan me devuelva mi diccionario. I want Juan to do something. I expect an action from him. Give back my dictionary. The action I expect to him goes in the subjuntivo. The subjuntivo is a kind of indirect imperative. So the negative imperative and the present subjunctive have the same conjugation. In these sentences, we have two different grammatical subjects, and the subject of the main sentence expects an action from the subject of the subordinate sentence. The expected action goes in the subjuntivo. If the expected action is of the same subject, we use the infinitive. Quiero devolver el diccionario. Javier quiere devolver el diccionario. Same subject, infinitivo. What we expect from another may take different forms. For example, it may be a recommendation. Lo mejor es que salgas temprano de casa. The action I expect from you is to follow a recommendation that I make to you. Lo mejor es que salgas temprano de casa. If I refer to this in general, I use the infinitive. Lo mejor es salir temprano de casa. I am referring to this in general. I'm not talking to a specific person. I'm not giving a recommendation to someone. Also, when we give an opinion about someone else's action, that action of the other about which we give our opinion is in the subjuntivo. For example, me extraña que Juan haya dicho eso. The action of him about which I give my opinion should go in the subjuntivo. Es normal que haga frío en otoño. No es lógico que aumenten tanto los precios. I am giving my opinion about the action of the prices. Not always when there are two sentences with two different subjects joined by que, we will use the subjunctive. Tenemos un libro que trata de política. Here there are two different subjects. Nosotros tenemos in the main sentence, and trata, subject, un libro. But since we're talking about a fact, and we do not expect an action from el libro, but only give an information, we do not use the subjunctive. The book is about politics and we have it. However, here necesitamos un libro que trate de política. We expect an action or characteristic of the book. Let's see more examples. Necesito un apartamento que esté en el centro. That is what I expect from the apartment, to be in the center of the city. Buscamos una solución que sea definitiva. Is the action we expect from the solution. Quiero un coche que consuma poca gasolina. Let's see some examples of sentences with the verb gustar. If I express my liking or disliking about the action of another, the action that I dislike is in the subjunctive. Me gusta que la gente respete las leyes ambientales. I like the action of others. If I refer to an action of mine, I do not use the subjunctive. Me gusta tocar la guitarra. If we have only one subject, the action with gustar is in the infinitive. A Pedro le gusta tocar la guitarra. In sentences with the verb gustar, what we like is the subject of the sentence. I recommend you to watch the video about the verb gustar in this channel. In sentences with para qué, we use the subjunctive for the action we expect from someone else. Yo te presto mi coche para que tú vayas a la playa. If I refer to only one grammatical subject, the sentence will be like this. Uso el coche para ir a la playa. We also use the subjunctive if we're talking about actions that we expect to do in the future. Cuando llegue a mi casa, me serviré una bebida. In general, the verb of the second sentence will be in the future of the indicative or in the imperative. Cuando llegues, sírvete una bebida, por favor. In Spanish, it is not possible to use the futuro simple of the indicative after cuando. It is always with the subjuntivo, cuando llegue a mi casa. After cuando we can use several tenses, but never the futuro simple or condicional simple. If I use the presente indicativo after cuando, I am talking about a habit I currently have. Cuando llego a mi casa, me sirvo una bebida. A similar use of the subjunctive for expected actions in the future is with expressions such as hasta que, en cuanto, apenas, tan pronto como, etc. For example, cocina la pasta hasta que esté al dente. The expected action is estar al dente. If I talk about a current habit, I use the indicative. Siempre cocino la pasta hasta que está al dente. Now, let's remember an important exception with thought verbs in the main sentence. Verbs that we do with the mind, such as creer, pensar, notar, parecerle algo a alguien, suponer, imaginar, and synonyms. The verbs of the senses like ver, oír, escuchar, sentir with the skin, sentir con la piel, decir and oler, with expressions of certainty such as es verdad que, es cierto que, está demostrado que, es un hecho que, and synonyms. With these verbs, we use the indicative if they are in affirmative and the subjuntivo if they are in negation. Por ejemplo, creo que lloverá mañana. No creo que llueva mañana. The negation refers to the verb in the main sentence. Creo and no creo, and not to the verb of the subordinate clause. Es verdad que las cosas están caras. No es verdad que las cosas estén caras. Me parece que tienes razón. No me parece que tengas razón. That happens only with verbs of thought and senses and not with all verbs. Whenever an expectation of action from another is expressed, we will use the subjuntivo. For example, quiero que llames a Pablo. No quiero que llames a Pablo. Esperamos que baje el dólar. No esperamos que baje el dólar. Let's recap. We use the subjunctive in simple sentences with ojalá, quizás, tal vez, probablemente, and posiblemente. We use the subjuntivo for actions expected of someone other than the subject of the main sentence. We use the subjuntivo in sentences with cuando for actions we plan or expect to do in the future. We also use the subjunctive in sentences that have verbs of perception and thought in negation in the main sentence. But be careful, not always when we have two sentences with two different subjects joined with que, we will use the subjuntivo, as we explained. Quiero que cenemos pasta. Two sentences with two different subjects. With quiero, I express that I expect an action from us. The action from us I expect is in the subjuntivo. Tenemos unos vecinos que no comen pasta. Again, two sentences with two different subjects joined by que, but there is no action expected from anyone. We are talking about a fact. There is no subjuntivo because we don't expect an action of our neighbors. ¿No? Muy bien. This has been a summary of everything we have explained so far in the course on the present subjunctive. Now we continue with the exercises from the course material. Exercises. Nos vemos pronto en una próxima clase. Chao.